Your opinion of me is not the opinion that I have of myself. You ain't make me, so you can't break me. You didn't build me, so you can't kill me. You know what? God established me.
Deion is expressing a feminine, morally bankrupt worldview. And he's passing it off as confidence and a false bravado.
So a lot of people want to see me fail, and it ain't gonna happen. You know, it ain't gonna happen.
Shedeur is not ready, and his attitude is horrendous. He's Debbie Downer. But this whole, you gotta give him equal chances. No, you don't. That's never been the National Football League.
I think the visual representation, Public Enemy #1 and police bars for Shedeur and Coach Deion is extremely unfair, Jason.
The NFL world just witnessed one of the most heated confrontations of the season. Former NFL quarterback Sean King jumped into the arena to defend Deion Sanders and his son Shedeur against one of their harshest critics, Jason Whitlock.
There are a lot of other entities in our communities that are more deadly and dangerous to people than Shedeur and Coach Prime.
This isn't just another debate about draft prospects. This is about race, culture, hip-hop's role in football, and whether the next generation of black quarterbacks is being judged fairly before they even step onto an NFL field. What just unfolded exposed everything that's broken about how we evaluate young black athletes in this league. Here's what sparked the firestorm. Jason Whitlock, never afraid of controversy, posted a graphic comparing Shedeur Sanders and Coach Prime to Public Enemy's iconic album cover, complete with crosshairs and prison bars. Prison bars for a college quarterback and his Hall of Fame father who've done nothing but rebuild programs and change young men's lives. Sean King fired back hard, and honestly, he had every reason to be angry.
I can't do that.
You have prison bars, and you got Public Enemy #1.
Blame Chuck D and Flavor Flav.
There are a lot of other entities in our communities that are more deadly and dangerous to people than Shedeur and Coach Prime.
King immediately called out the visual as extreme and unfair. He made the obvious point. Public Enemy were legendary rappers and rebels with a purpose, fighting to expose injustice in the black community. They were searching for a way out of systematic oppression. Comparing them to the Sanders family with violent imagery like that? That's not football analysis, that's a hit piece. But Whitlock doubled down. His take? That hip-hop culture is completely incompatible with quarterback success in the NFL.
Football, particularly at the quarterback position, but football in general, because of its military-like structure, it's about submission. It's about submitting to the head coach, and the team is greater than yourself. And hip hop is about individuality and being rebellious to authority.
Whitlock's theory is that football requires submission, while hip hop breeds rebellion. And because Deion and Shedeur embrace hip hop culture, they're destined to fail. Whitlock pointed to the numbers. 8 of the top 9 quarterbacks by record this season are white. He claims this proves his point, that black quarterbacks struggle because they refuse to submit to coaching staffs and team structures. He specifically called out Shedeur for allegedly showing no interest in submitting to Browns offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski during pre-draft meetings. This is where Sean King absolutely shreds that entire argument.
The black rap hip-hop culture has permeated every part of America. I mean, go on TikTok. It's white moms with young white daughters doing the dances. And
King brilliantly pointed out that hip-hop culture hasn't just influenced black athletes. It's embedded in every corner of American life. White moms and their daughters are doing TikTok dances to hip-hop tracks. Athletes from every background embrace the culture. Jackson Dart wears diamond chains. J.J. McCarthy does celebratory dances. But somehow, when Shedeur does the exact same thing, it's a character flaw? The double standard is impossible to ignore. Whitlock himself admits he doesn't praise Jackson Dart for having swag, but King correctly points out that most of sports media absolutely does.
Diamond chains, Lamar Jackson's criticized for having a grill. But what's really happened is, if you go back to my draft class in '99, and listen, there were some icons that came before me.
Lamar Jackson gets criticized for wearing a grill, while white quarterbacks get celebrated for their confidence and swagger. The measuring stick is completely different depending on who's being measured. King dropped a reality check that Whitlock couldn't counter. The Sanders family didn't invent hip-hop culture in sports. They simply understood what the algorithm rewards and used it to build their brand.
All they did was look at what the algorithm says works. And we're going to use this to build a post-Deion playing career brand. And it's focused on that energy. But they didn't create it.
They recognized the most powerful marketing force in America and leveraged it. That's not rebellion, that's smart business. That's understanding your audience. That's thriving in today's media landscape. But here's where this conversation goes even deeper. King, a former NFL quarterback himself, brought up historical context that Whitlock conveniently overlooks. He talked about his 1999 draft class, when black quarterbacks truly broke through in the league.
Me, Donovan McNabb, Achilles Smith, Dante Culpepper, Aaron Brooks, Michael Bishop, we all came into the league at the same time. We had to submit or you wouldn't play. So we couldn't have our own personality.
Those quarterbacks had to completely erase their personalities. They couldn't be themselves. They had to play the game exactly how the league demanded. The NFL didn't evolve because they suddenly became progressive. They evolved because they had no other choice.
So the NFL didn't change because they wanted to. They changed because they had to. Because the type of quarterback that was available to come into the league wasn't the Elvis Gerbach type. It wasn't the Peyton Manning type.
The college game started producing a completely different type of quarterback. Pocket passers weren't dominating college football anymore. Mobile, dual-threat quarterbacks were taking over. The NFL had to adapt or get left behind. This evolution brought swagger with it. Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. These quarterbacks didn't just quietly submit, they brought personality, confidence, and yes, elements of hip-hop culture to the position. And you know what? It's working. Mahomes is the face of the NFL. Lamar is a two-time MVP. The league is objectively better because of this diversity in style and approach. But King made an important distinction that every young quarterback needs to understand. He's not promoting total rebellion. He's promoting authenticity backed by elite work ethic. He acknowledged that Shedeur's approach of calling himself legendary before proving it might have been premature.
He self-appointed himself legendary. Legendary means I don't need help. I don't need a group around me to help me be successful. You put me in your organization and we're going to win. To being a third-string quarterback during the year who did an interview and said,
declaring you're better than what you see in the league while sitting third string, that creates unnecessary obstacles to earning respect and patience from coaches and teammates. The long-term success argument matters here. King emphasized that quarterback is the most demanding position in all of professional sports.
the hardest position in all of sports is quarterback. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Mexican, Indian. There's not a harder position to play. You can't be braggadocious and outspoken and rebellious before you have success because there's no sustainability in that approach.
You need grace, you need patience, you need allies in your corner when things inevitably go sideways. Walking in with an invincibility complex doesn't build that crucial support system. This is the nuanced debate that gets drowned out in the noise. King isn't claiming Shedeur is flawless. He's arguing that the visual representation and overall narrative surrounding the Sanders family is unfair and rooted in deeper biases about how black athletes should conduct themselves. The truth is more complicated than either extreme position. Yes, young quarterbacks of all races need to be coachable. They need to master the game. They need to function within offensive systems. But they also deserve to be authentic. They deserve to bring their complete selves to the position. The greatest quarterbacks in NFL history have always had massive personalities. They've always had swagger. They've always believed in themselves to an almost absurd degree.
Tom Brady was labeled too slow and unathletic. Aaron Rodgers was dismissed as too arrogant coming out of Cal. Brett Favre was called reckless. Peyton Manning was viewed as robotic and unable to win championship games. Every elite quarterback has faced harsh criticism. The difference is that black quarterbacks face an additional layer of scrutiny focused on their cultural expression. When Baker Mayfield plants a flag at Ohio State or grabs his crotch in celebration, he's labeled competitive and fierce. When a black quarterback displays identical energy, suddenly there are questions about maturity and leadership ability. The standards aren't equal. The expectations aren't equal. And that's the real conversation we need to be having. Shaun King's defense of the Sanders family isn't about excusing every choice or action. It's about demanding equal treatment. It's about acknowledging that Coach Prime has dominated everywhere he's coached. He transformed Jackson State into a powerhouse. He's made Colorado nationally relevant again. His sons have delivered on the field, despite relentless scrutiny and criticism that goes far beyond football evaluation. The fact that this confrontation went viral tells us something crucial. People are exhausted by the double standards. They're tired of watching black athletes held to different behavioral standards while their white counterparts get celebrated for identical traits. They're done with outdated narratives suggesting cultural expression equals lack of discipline or leadership deficiency. The NFL is changing. The quarterback position is changing. The players are more diverse, more authentic, more connected to larger cultural movements than ever before. That's not a crisis to be managed. That's progress to be embraced. Shedeur Sanders will face challenges in the NFL. Every rookie quarterback does. Some of those obstacles will be self-created through mistakes or questionable decisions, but many will come from people who've already decided he can't succeed because of who he is, how he carries himself, and whose son he is. The real question isn't whether Shedeur can adapt to an NFL system. The real question is whether NFL systems are ready to embrace quarterbacks who don't fit the traditional prototype. The question is whether media voices like Whitlock will evaluate black quarterbacks based on actual on-field performance or keep pushing narratives about hip-hop culture ruining football. One thing is absolutely certain. This conversation was necessary. Shaun King made sure it happened, and the NFL landscape is better for it, even if it made plenty of people uncomfortable. Sometimes the most critical conversations are the uncomfortable ones. Sometimes defending people means confronting narratives that have gone unchallenged for far too long. The Sanders family doesn't need rescuing. They're thriving. But the larger conversation about how we evaluate black quarterbacks, how we discuss cultural influence in sports, and how we create space for authentic expression while maintaining championship standards, that conversation is only beginning. And if this viral moment proved anything, it's that people are ready for this dialogue. They're ready to challenge outdated assumptions. They're ready to demand more from sports media. They're ready to see young black quarterbacks evaluated fairly based on their preparation, performance, and upside, not predetermined narratives about culture and submission. The future of the quarterback position is diverse, dynamic, and unapologetically authentic. Get comfortable with it, because this game isn't moving backwards, and neither are the players who are reshaping it.